Yes, that's right, that's right.
What we had with Carl.
Is that from Latin?
I think it was.
We are dating ourselves now, French.
I watched it on
Oh,
Nick
everybody had the thing, Christopher said no, and then he said no. You're
too young for the web, you know.
It's an existing lot that the planning board
Rowan and Martin laughing on Nick at Night when I was like
Oh,
middle
okay,
school.
yeah.
if you need all,
These are the real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's against, it's bad for you and me for business.
Soccer Jimmy.
The show got too racy, my parents would go, oh, you guys can go to bed now.
Right.
So I had to give that back to the old retainer.
Nixon made a big thing going on that show, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Soccer TV.
I said to him, you know, the world's smartest lawyer should have seen this too.
Goldie Hawn got to start that.
That's right.
That and the heel.
Flying finger of fate.
That used to be on there and SCTV used to be on there.
Research that,
It's like the email.
like into, if you put it into artificial intelligence, it says, oh yeah, you can do it, that's what everybody does.
I have to tell you, one of the guys that I work with,
I mean, I understand his
like
point
a
though.
whole library.
Because it's a fruition.
It was very funny stuff.
There was some really funny stuff. He was showing
Almost any controversial case takes 2 or 3 meetings, and there's always different ways. It doesn't sound.
He was like,
And like if there's a remand or something, nobody gets
TV.
read the transcript.
Yeah, I coached one.
Remember the old lady skating around the room with her skates on?
That's my rant for today. Thanks for listening.
I ordered your nameplate today.
Oh, thank you.
That's huge.
I figure we'll just have a lot of you, make them official.
Oh, I appreciate it. This is a good kid.
Oh, the stuff. The show, the stuff that they did.
I think I know. Did your mic step down, Kylie? I think it's because he jammed. Because why would he stay down with Warren? Warren's still in the room.
Vaguely.
Oh yeah, they're gonna close. And
Yeah,
that's,
they're
they're
doing
gonna
the
close
same
east. They're not
He was
closing
a guy
south.
from Africa.
And the only building that generates revenue is north.
Oh,
Because it retired.
They got him home. They called him Uncle George. They thought it was his Uncle George. And he said, he's chasing me.
I was talking to Chucky about it today.
Yeah, wait till you see his picture. You'll know exactly what it is.
Bang the gavel. Everybody ready? Ryan will be ready when we get there.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Good evening. I'd like to open up the Point Pleasant Beach Board of Adjustment regular meeting for July 17th, 2025. If we get the open public meetings.
Adequate notice of the time of this meeting was given under the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act and sent to the officially designated newspapers in compliance with the law. Roll call. Secretary Davis.
Here.
Mr. Dixon.
Here.
Mr. McGee.
Here.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Here.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. Clayton. And Mr. Neal. First order of business, memorialize the May 15th minutes. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
And now a motion to add the special meeting date of August 25th, which is a Monday. I hope you can all be there for the Presbyterian Church.
So moved.
Second.
Because we have one the next week too, September something, just to warn you. Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
Mr. Neal. The special meeting date is official. Now your initials are listed, four resolutions. Be it resolved by the Board of Adjustment that we hereby memorialize the action and vote approving application 2025-18 of Jenks to 604 Ocean Avenue with conditions. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly. Secretary Davis.
Yes.
And Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Board of Adjustment that hereby memorializes the action and vote approving application 2025-12 Denise Stephen D'Esposito, 118 Central Avenue with conditions.
So moved.
Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Board of Adjustment that hereby memorializes the action and vote approving application 2025-22 of James D. Benedette, 512 Bay Avenue with conditions. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
And Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Board of Adjustment that it hereby memorializes the action of vote approving application 2025-06 of Michael Shavlino at 805 Orchard Avenue with conditions. Motion?
So moved.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, and the agenda. First application up was carried previously without notice. Is Joanne Jonathan Pfeiffer. You're here. The second is Chris and Christy Bajajian, represented by Mr. Jackson. They're here. And then Lester Bianco. Is,
Two of the professionals are here.
the professionals are here. I know they're coming. We spoke with them, so the professionals are here. And come on up, Joanne.
Are you going to come out and testify? Yes. Okay, what is your names? Joanne Pfeiffer. Nicole Schaefer. S-C-A-F-F-E-R. Okay, raise your right hands. You swear or affirm the testimony that you're before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
How you doing?
Maria and I.
Good. Karen, was everybody here?
Everybody was here, yes.
Right. All right, so we were here. You've made some changes.
Did, based on your feedback, we made the adjustments.
You want to explain to the board?
Sure, so I think pretty much everything's kind of shown initially on the first page. Unfortunately, didn't print as dark as I would have hoped, but you can see that there are 3 vehicles able to park on the property.
Yep.
And then just below that, you'll see that we brought, not just the one side in, but we brought both sides in for symmetry. So that we are within the, that we did today.
All right. Ray, do we see a note that there's 7 foot? Is that enough for parking? Or is that?
I wouldn't jump up and down. So
Yeah. But there's no.
yeah, if there's no, the way the framing was laid out, there doesn't appear to be any kind of beam or girder underneath, which I would say would then nullify those parking spaces. So as long as it's built the way it's shown on the plans, then maybe not ideal, but you can certainly squeeze those 3 cars in.
Were there any other changes?
We had to bring the side of the second floor in a little bit, so we did move that as well. So that we're in compliance. And we pulled them on both sides just for symmetry, so it did shrink the upstairs bit.
There was no further changes to the setbacks, I believe.
I believe that was the only change that you
Just
requested.
on the second floor.
Did that, did the change to the second floor, did that, that didn't achieve compliance with the item C from Ray's report, 3C, the 500 foot or, was it 33%?
No, that's, 33% of the postage stamp isn't gonna get us anything, unfortunately. That's the main reason why we have to go.
It was mainly for fire compliance, because there was windows shown on the second floor, which less than 3 feet, you can't have any fenestrations. So,
Thank you for that explanation, Ray.
Just for clarification, we have asterisks for building coverage and pervious coverage. I don't see an explanation. Look at page 2.
yeah, I don't understand why they're there.
Okay. Do they-
So those should have been eliminated.
Both of those are under.
Yeah, they're both under the requirement. The R1 zone, 50% building is permitted, 70% impervious, so they would both conform.
Right. And although we're looking at a variance for the second floor, we're still under the required 25 feet.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions?
I just got a question about parking. When you park there, how many
spaces, and if generally we don't need more space than that, but there have been times where we only use 2 and we'll park on the street, and it looks right there, or Ocean Ave, if you get down there, you know.
Ray, anything you need to cover?
I don't think so, Mr. Chairman, that was it. The applicant has shown where the parking spaces were, which was the discussion last time. Brought the building in, so at least it's fire code compliant, if not compliant with the setback requirements for the zone. Those were the changes that were made. It does comply with the height. And I think, but that was the only change in it. And then there was a discussion about where the AC is. The AC's hanging on the back of the building, so they need relief for that as well, since the back of the building is set 3
That's-
feet off the rear property line.
Where 1.5 comes in?
Yeah, that was kind of a guess.
Based on that, is there any further questions? All right, is there anybody in the audience that has any questions or comments on this case? Okay. Get a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
This is so close for deliberations.
Yeah, sorry.
Get my hopes up.
Not yet.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we've had a few changes. It clears some additional parking and some fire compliance. But I'm just gonna go straight to how I feel about this case. Since first seeing it, it's simply too much house for the location. I'm just not convinced it's necessary for the variances required.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way Mr. Davis does. I mean, the zone only allows for 1.5 stories, and they want 2 stories. And we've had plenty, I know each case is individual, but we've had plenty of people in the bungalow area looking for a 2nd story, and we've denied that, just for that reason. We'll talk about possibly 5 bedrooms here, because one of the rooms is the office. There's an office, which ultimately someday will probably be a bedroom for someone, even if they don't own it anymore. And like Mr. Davis says, it's a lot stuffed into a small area. And I don't think they met the burden of proving the point that they need this. This is more of a want than a need. And I don't think they met the burden of showing that they need this, but this is, I mean, the reasons that they gave was they need more room for their friends and relatives to come over and stay at the house. We all need more room, but if you have a house that's in a zone that only allows 1.5 stories, and you want 2, it's a bridge too far for me right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of housing, and particularly in this area with how congested it is and how hard it is to get back and forth on those little alleys and 7 foot, you can fit most cars in there. It just seems like a lot of square footage on a really small piece of property. I'm going to listen to what my colleagues have to say and reserve until the vote.
Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, I just hope you get it up there before we have a problem. You've done good, because I think it's gonna be another one of those years where we're gonna get a lot of action down along the borderline. Good luck with the project. I have a real problem with parking in there, but the people in that area seem to be able to work it out.
sure that it meets the burden.
Mr. Neal?
I mean, I think we all know the main concern, obviously, the congestion there. I completely understand your desire, you know, to build a house that, you know, can sustain, you know, the life that you want, but I just think that it's just not designed for that lot.
I can agree with there being a lot of house in that space, but that being said, it's a, I don't want to call it an oversized lot, because it's not, but it's a larger lot for that area. The setback is an issue. The side yard setback is still a variance, but it's actually better than it was, better than was existing. It's pulled back half a foot, but it's still pulled back. The rear yard setback is the same as it was, with the exception of the air conditioning unit hanging off the house. As far as building coverage and pervious coverage, they're both still under what's required. And as far as the 2 stories, yes, it's 2 stories, but 25 feet is acceptable, and they're keeping it under 25 feet. And I think that history will show you that a lot of the places down there, yes, they're 1.5, not 2, but that's a technicality. There's still, some of them are 25 feet, some of them are 26 feet. I'm not having as much an issue as it sounds like some of the board members are. That's all I got to say. So if we get a motion to close deliberation?
It's the same thing.
Not anymore.
I have a motion to close deliberation.
Motion to close?
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
All right.
Motion?
We can get a motion to accept or deny this application.
Make a motion to deny.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Dixon, second by Mr. Kelly to deny application 2025-03 of Joanne and Jonathan Pfeiffer at 5 Circuit Sand Court.
All right, so to be clear, an affirmative vote is to deny, a negative vote is to approve.
Mr. Davis,
Hold on one second.
What was that again?
you didn't know when you
A
said second.
positive vote on, right now, a yes
Yeah.
is to deny, a no is to accept.
That's it.
And just to clarify, just, so a no is just to not deny, then you would, someone else would have to render a motion to approve, to actually approve
Okay,
the
my bad,
application.
yeah.
If you want to do a motion to approve, you could do it that way.
Yeah, let's.
And then,
That makes sense.
Okay,
Well,
then,
actually, there's already a motion made.
right, we gotta go
Yeah.
follow through with this motion.
okay,
So let's do this vote. So this is to deny.
well, it's,
No, they've
yeah,
already,
yeah,
the motion's already been made.
The new motion if this one isn't successfully. Secretary Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Is this a negative vote?
If you vote yes, it's to deny it. If you vote no, that means you want
I
to,
would like to pass this.
so then you want to vote no. Right?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
just making sure. Mr. Clayton
Yes.
and Mr. Neal
No. Chair.
and Vice Chair Reynolds.
No.
And motion to deny, 4-3 vote.
So that's-
application's denied.
Okay.
So is there an appeal process to this, or, I mean, I just, unfortunately, I couldn't speak before, but as far as hardship, again, like, we have, in order to put stairs in to go upstairs on a 600 and something square foot house.
I think that the proper, and you can tell me, I
How
think
would
the
we
proper
get this
advice
house?
is
Yeah.
to seek an attorney, and that there is an appeal to the state or the county, the state.
To the Superior Court.
Or they can change it slightly.
I guess my question is more,
Well, you
what
can file an
would
application.
have been sufficient, because last meeting.
That's, we're done.
saying last meeting you asked for a couple of things, we made the changes that were asked for. I'm not hearing other than,
Well,
like, we can't
I'm
go
not
out
gonna
on
go,
the first.
I'm not gonna go deep
Yeah.
into this because we have other people waiting
Sure,
to get
I
on.
understand, yeah,
There was no decision at the last meeting.
right,
There were questions, there were concerns.
right.
That didn't weigh or point one way or the other where the vote was going. They were just concerns, and you went back and you met some of those concerns.
Right.
And here we are.
I just. Thank you.
All right, let's call our next case.
I'm not sure.
Mohican then?
Yes. Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, John Jackson, on behalf of the applicant, Chris and Christine Bohegan. While I'm setting up the TV, if I can have Paul Rubarger, the architect, and Matt Hockenberry come forward and be sworn. And qualified, I think they could handle that on their own, like it is.
Do you swear from a testimony if you're full disclosure, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Paul Rugarber, R-U-G-A-R-B-E-R, company's PDR Designs Architecture, located. Got my credentials.
Mr. Rubarger, you're a licensed professional architect in the state of New Jersey. You've appeared before this board and given testimony before it. Mr. Chairman, you accept Mr. Rubarger?
We do.
Mr. Hockenberry, you're a licensed professional engineer and planner,
Yes.
and you've appeared in this town many times,
Yes.
right? You accept him?
I do.
Thank you.
We
And
do.
I'd also like to introduce Chris and Christy Bohegan, who are, Christy, we're in the row in the back. And I've handed in my PowerPoint, with your permission, if I could have it marked as A3, I believe is a custom consisting of 10 pages.
You got it.
Thank you. So what we're here for tonight is a single-family home. Bohegan bought this house a few years ago. I think it was 2019. They bought it intending it to be an investment, but then they moved in 2020, and they fell in love with Point Pleasant Beach. Now they have 2 kids. Blake is going to start Antrim next year, and Hunter's 3 years in preschool, and they're hoping to make this their home. They've learned after they bought it that the house did have damage during Sandy, and now what they've done is they've hired Mr. Rugarber to transform the house shown on page 2, which is a non-FEMA compliant house with the beautiful home that Mr. Rugarber has designed. Show the neighborhood, as the board is well aware, Laurel Court is unique in that there's no curb cuts on Laurel, that I can think of anyway, and all the entries are on the back, on Liberty Lane, where everyone has a garage in the back. There's a close-up of what the surrounding neighbors are like. Here's the home that Mr. Rugarber's designed, and Mr. Hockenberry is going to give testimony that we're building in the footprint of the old house. What we're doing is we need 4.5 or 4.6 because that's the existing footprint, and we're using the foundation, a lot of the foundation, as well as the old house. Mr. Rugarber is going to say it's not really practical to deconstruct and just discard all of the old house. So we're holding the property lines that we had. There's some nonconformities for the garage that's in the back. You can see they're existing. It's consistent with the other garages. We're not changing that. We do need relief for building coverage. We're reducing the building coverage, the lot coverage and the building coverage. I think we're reducing it slightly as well. So with that said, who we're going to have first? Matt, Mr. Hockenberry is going to come and thank you for indulging my overview.
All right, so I got 306 Laurel Court, block 7901, lot 14. We're located on the south side of Laurel Court between Chicago and St. Louis Ave. We have single-family dwellings to our east and our west. Liberty Lane again is to our south. 7,000 square feet. Currently contains a one-story, single-family dwelling that faces Laurel Court. We have a small concrete porch and a walkway out to the street. On the south side, we have an asphalt driveway providing vehicle access to the lane behind us, and a detached garage, and its overhead doors on the east side. So we actually have a side entry into that garage from the asphalt driveway. The main and likely the original portion of the house is sort of rectangular in shape, so this is likely what the original house looked like. And then there was additions added in the southwest corner out towards the framed garage. Our AC unit is located down the west side, which is the right side of the page here. Grade elevations come up from Laurel Court to the house, and then they go back down towards Riverview Lane. The finished floor here of the dwelling is 7.89, and the base flood elevation is 9. So the dwelling is currently not flood compliant.
What are the setbacks on the existing structure?
So we have a couple existing nonconformities. Dwelling east side setback, 5 feet is required, we have 4.7 feet. Dwelling west side, 5 feet required, again, we have 4.7 feet. Garage side setback, 5 feet is required, 1.8 feet is existing. Garage rear setback, 5 feet is required, 2.7 feet is existing. Our building coverage is currently over 30% is permitted, and we're at 33.3%. And impervious coverage is also over 50% is permitted, and we're at 51.1. So we're proposing to elevate the existing dwelling in place, and we're actually going to remove some of the existing footprint. If you can zoom into this area up top. Here, yep. So, show me down a little bit. We're going to take off a little bit of the section of the house here in the front. We're going to take off about a 15 by 15 foot block in the back, and then this area here is 15 by 10. We're going to reconstruct that when the house gets elevated. Like many in the area, the house will be elevated high enough to provide for entry and storage on the ground floor. Cannot be used for habitable space, and it won't be. On top of the main portion of the dwelling, so again, that rectangle that you see, we're proposing a second-story addition along with a habitable attic above it. On the north side, or the front elevation, we're proposing a 7-foot deep covered porch on the ground floor. It's this area. At the rear or south side, we're proposing a covered and elevated deck, and that's going to be adjacent. That's right here. That's adjacent to that portion of the house that we're reconstructing and elevating. As far as the site improvements, we're going to be replacing the front paver walkway out to Laurel with a permeable paver walkway. We're also replacing the paver patio that's existing between the garage and the house. We're replacing that with a permeable paver patio. That patio is going to have a walkway that leads to the rear stairs that come off of the covered deck that I described. In the lawn area between the house and the garage, we're going to be proposing a recharge system in this area. Grades are a little low there, so that's why we chose that spot. And that system is going to consist of 5 dome-shaped chambers that sit in a bed of stone around all sides and underneath. So as proposed, we need the following variance relief. Dwelling east side setback, 5 feet is required, 4.7 feet is proposed. Dwelling west side setback, 5 feet is required, again, 4.7 feet is proposed. So again, these are the 2 existing nonconformities. We're exacerbating these nonconformities with the second-story addition, just going straight up. But again, this will be vertical expansion. We're looking at 4 inches of encroachment, which in my opinion won't be discernible and won't have a negative impact on the neighboring dwellings. I want to point out that the neighbor to our east is set back 5.3 feet, and so we're 4.7, they're 5.3, so we have 10 feet between us, which is normal in this zone. And then our neighbor on the west side, which is this side of the photograph, you can't even see their house come into view. So they're about 45 feet away, certainly no impact from our 4-inch encroachment to that neighbor. Our third variance is building coverage. 30% is permitted, and again, 32.7% is proposed. I want to point out that we're reducing building coverage from 33.3%, which exists today. The ordinance actually allows for 1% for stairs, as long as there's a permeable surface below. Our stairs come out to 0.6%, so technically we're permitted 30.6% building coverage, and we're at 32.7%, so we're 2.1% over. So while we've elevated the dwelling and added stairs, obviously you have to add stairs when you elevate the dwelling, we would normally see an increase in building coverage. then the last variance is maximum dormer length. 33% is permitted and 41.96% is proposed. That's for this dormer here that you see in the front, so this is the Laurel port side. It provides, actually, as Paul will get into it, but it provides the stairwell up to the habitable attic. I think it also enhances the front aesthetic of the home. And what we have here is, Paul will kind of explain the calculations to you, but you're permitted 33% along the length of a house. We have a dormer in the front and a dormer at the rear. Let me show the rear one. So if you were to take both of our lengths and add them together, and then look at our total dormer coverage, we would be at 33.3%. So what we did was essentially have a smaller dormer than we're permitted on the rear side, and we have a larger dormer than we're permitted on the front side, which triggers the variance, but I think kind of meets the spirit of the ordinance in controlling how big that habitable attic can be. And I think the ordinance was also meant to control someone from just putting a dormer across the whole front of their house and having a 3-story looking house. And I think when you look at this, you can see it's clearly not what we've done. So I think we meet the spirit of the ordinance there. From a planning standpoint, we're proposing a lot of positives here. As part of this application, we are correcting non-conforming impervious coverage situation, so we're bringing that into compliance. On top of that, we're adding a stormwater recharge system, so drainage will be certainly improved with this application. We're elevating a dwelling that is currently not flood compliant and making it compliant with FEMA, state, and local flood requirements. This provides a benefit not only to the applicant, but the neighboring properties and community rating. The existing dwelling, again, is 4.7 feet from both side property lines. So right now, by current code requirements, it would require fire rating along those walls. The existing dwelling is not rated in those areas, and the renovated dwelling will be. So the improvements will be constructed to the latest code requirements to protect from flood, fire, and other disasters. I think we're proposing a major aesthetic upgrade here that will provide for a desirable visual environment. It will fit the character of the neighborhood, which features several similar style homes, which have been elevated or newly constructed since Sandy. As far as potential negative impacts to light, air, and open space, I think the fact that we have a vertical expansion here and de minimis existing nonconformities mitigates any negative impact. We meet the front setback by 8 feet. Our height is compliant, and we're reducing building coverage again. I think the location of our neighbors' houses, as I stated earlier, also mitigates any impact to light, air, and open space. So therefore, I see no negative impact on the surrounding area, the zone plan, or the zoning ordinance. And in my opinion, the positives substantially outweigh any negatives to this application.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Hoffman.
Can you speak to the garage area, what's in there?
Yes, so I spoke to the applicant, about a quarter of it is storage, and you can fit 2 cars. So we have
So it's
off-street parking for 4 spaces total.
All right, because I'm looking at the picture, and you call it storage, I see 4 skylights, I see a slider, windows, planters. There's no occupancy to that at all?
It's my understanding that there is not. The
This is
applicant's.
our garage right here, right? I had it on the wrong garage. You talking about these skylights right here?
Yeah.
Right.
I can have the Mohegans discuss that, and I haven't been in the garage myself.
No.
We can address it.
Mr. Hawkins, this might be a question for the architect as well. It was stated in the opening that it's not practical to reconstruct a foundation to bring the side yard setback in. With all this construction and taking off a section of the house and then rebuilding it again and all this, why is that not practical?
I'll definitely let the architect kind of elaborate on that, but it would also be the first floor because the house is being elevated. So between that, the foundation, the framing, it would get you 4 inches. In my opinion, I don't think it's an amount that would really be meaningful to the surrounding area or the zone plan or the zoning ordinance. So I think, elevating the house and leaving it with those existing nonconformities is the better solution.
Okay, and then a follow-up question regarding your testimony on the dormer. Would you agree that the idea of the ordinance limiting dormer size is so that you don't have too large of a dormer creating a large habitable room in a space. So that to then say, well, we're just gonna put a little one on the back so that we can have a big one on the front, kind of defeats the purpose of the ordinance. Would you agree? Or?
I don't think so. I think overall, we're limiting the habitable attic one way or the other. I don't think the intent was to put a small dormer on here to get a big one in the front, unless Paul did do that. That he's smarter than I give him credit for, but I think he was just trying to balance the front look of the house. And when we saw that did trigger the variance, we kind of looked at our overall situation and said, you know, we are under 33% overall, and I think, you know, we're not doing too much harm to the ordinance because of it.
Thank you.
And I don't know if this is for you or not, the air conditioning unit that's in the setback, you're doing major construction here, why can't that be moved out of the side yard setback?
It is being relocated.
Okay.
It's going inside the garage.
So we don't have, we'll eliminate that.
Correct, we're eliminating that existing non-conforming. They're being relocated. So they're being relocated here under the house. They're gonna be a side mount, exhaust.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the planner?
Yeah, but we're here, right?
Yes.
No, just the heights.
Mr.
All
Dixon?
of these heights that are indicated on this little corner here, with the basic flood elevation is what, at that level?
9.
I think it's 9?
9.
And the house is at what now, the current house?
7.89.
That's the basic flood elevation
The base flood elevation
of
is
the
9.
existing home,
The,
correct?
the finished floor elevation is 7.89.
Well, what do we have here? We have 32 proposed roof height, correct?
Correct, that's measured down to the base flood elevation, to the peak.
And that's not from the basic flood elevation. That's from the existing first floor line. That's what you have on your,
No, it goes from base flood elevation 9.
this is the only place we have it, is in this little corner.
We have it up there, Mr. Kelly.
We can't read that.
But Matt asked me to move out, so,
So the peak is 41.5, minus 32.5 is 9.
I'm more concerned with the lower part. Basic flood elevation is where,
Right here.
okay? And
Now,
the actual
slide it a
ground
little bit
level
over, John,
of the
take the house out, there you
Existing
go.
homes where,
The level of the existing home is here.
so we're adding, we're starting above the existing floor and
We're-
measuring it, correct?
Correct, we're measuring from the base flood elevation.
So we're not down this way and we're pushing it in the other direction to get the minimum height, to stay under the minimum height.
we're not asking for a height variance. We are not asking for a height variance.
No, I know that, but you're above the base flood elevation you are,
Yes,
Existing-
that's in the lower level.
that's what I'm saying.
Mr. Ruberger can address that, but that's, I don't know, that's not living space down there.
No, the height is measured from the base flood elevation
Yeah, I'm right,
to
I
the
know,
ridge,
I
and we
know.
have 32.5 feet.
I'm just looking at the height of the building. Trying to be fair and make sure we get the right directions for it. Thank you.
Do you want to just run through that, what the height is?
Yes.
So, or should Paul do it?
So the allowable roof height is 41.5, that's an elevation above.
Elevation,
sea
not
level.
height.
Right, so you take elevation 9, which is the base flood elevation, add 32.5 feet to it, and you get elevation 41.5. That's what we're allowed, and we're just under that at 41.
And the setback from that side wall, that wall on there, that would be, what would the setback on the property line?
4.7 feet.
4 feet 7,
4.7.
4.7. So we're not even from the property line.
We're 4 inches shy of the requirement.
So 4.7 feet is how many feet, how many inches? 4.7 translates to how many inches?
4 foot 8 inches, and 5 feet is required.
I think engineers use point and architects use inches. That always throws me.
Just a quick clarification, minor point though. So you said 4.7 and 4.7, but your plot plan says 4.7 and 4.8 on the right side. So,
I think it's in, we listed it in 2 spots.
I just want to make sure that we have it correctly. 'Cause I listed it as 4.7 and 4.8
So
based
it-
on what I saw on the plot plan.
It's 4 here, but
Oh.
it's 4.7 in the back corner. House is,
Okay, okay, gotcha. Oh, I see now. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions
Yeah,
from the
just one
board?
quick question, I don't know if I'm looking at this right or not. So the front dormer is basically, that's where your stairway is gonna be?
correct.
Okay, and so you have a bathroom there. And the back dormer, I guess, will be like a little hangout room?
I'd feel more comfortable if Mr. Ruger.
Okay, all right.
At this time, is there anybody in the audience that has questions of the planner? You'll have time to comment later, this is just questions. Thank you. John?
Mr. Rubarger? All right, so let's start with talking about the existing house. That's below the flood elevation, it's had damage, and you're redoing the house, right?
That's correct.
So let's talk about some of the materials. How will you be finishing this house? What we see in the elevations?
We're gonna have stone on the base, there's gonna be hardy board siding on here, which is a cement base, so it is fire resistant. AZAC trim materials, some board and batten on the dormer.
So one of the questions, let me go to this because I think this will zoom in a little sharper. The first thing that we discussed was the setbacks, 4.8. So we're 4 inches from the wall. Mr. Davis said, well, you're doing all this work, why can't you just start over and go out that 5 feet and pick up those 4 extra inches? Explain why you designed it this way, and why you think this is a reasonable, why it's a hardship under C1. The structure's lawfully on the premises.
So it's an existing condition that we have as far as the house where it is. They didn't build this house, they bought it a short while ago, and this is what it is on the lot. We can't shift it either way because both sides are over, so moving it wouldn't help on the lot. To cut a house back 4 inches requires a lot of work as far as cutting the deck back, taking the whole wall there. I feel if we get into doing that on both sides, that we might as well just scrap everything and start over. Anything can be made compliant, we all know that. The purpose of our board is to say, do we think this is reasonable, what we're asking? I think asking for 4 inches, that is a condition we did not create, is not a lot to ask for this.
What about the foundation? You had mentioned to me in our preparation that that also created issues with backfilling and excavating.
All right, so the foundation will be removed in this case. We wanted to save it, but we're not able to. So we do have to prop the house up. It has to be lifted anyway. We'll lift it up, we'll take out the whole foundation and put in the new foundation. The foundation theoretically could be set in 4 inches on each side to comply with that, and then have the existing house not comply. And I didn't see the point in doing this. Matt testified as to where the neighbors' houses were in regard to ours. I didn't see that that makes any sense to do as far as creating difficulties in construction when our neighbors are where they are.
So related to the house itself, does this house have different angles and dimensions and contours so that it's not just like all volume taking up the sky? And please explain if that's what you meant.
Correct. We try to create a little more character than most. We did, Matt said, we pushed the front porch area back in so that we're not protruding, to limit our coverage. So we are cutting a little bit of the house back to create that. The back area, we're cutting off a piece of that. And then we tried to do pushing and pulling the facade to create ins and outs, to create more light and air, make it a nicer looking house, more in line with what's going up in the area.
In your view as an architect, someone who has his office in town, has his home in town, also has a house that's way back from the street, the fact that we have an additional 9 feet setback in the front, does that mitigate against being off by 4 inches on the side yards? And if so, please explain.
Yeah, absolutely. I drove by it earlier today, and the house is set back. It has beautiful trees in the front of it, 4 inches. I would challenge anyone to see the difference in having that and it being set back a little bit further than most definitely helps there.
So let me just get the overhead shot here. So
side over here, 10 feet away from the other house. I didn't see again that 4 inches mattered when your neighbor over here is so far away.
Excuse me. All right, so in your view, it all fits in the neighborhood. Now, let's talk about that dormer. Please explain your thought process and why you think this works.
We go to the 3rd floor, habitable attic floor.
Tell me when to stop, right here?
Up one more. So this area here, you'll see our stairwell is located in the front, and so the dormer, the bulk of it is just covering our stair, so we're not creating more space up there that becomes living space. We're really just being able to give ourselves the headroom that we need in the stairwell, and then this little piece jogs back because the rest of the house below, it goes in line with that. In the back, we just have a small area. This is intended to be a playroom up here. We have a bathroom up there, and then we have a small storage area within the roof line here and here. The line of 7-foot ceiling height you'll see is here. So this area is going to be low head height within the roof line. This area, we created a dormer in order to get some more livable space, and you don't have to duck in there. And then this area right at the gable, we're able to get a little bit more height in order to get a bathroom compliant in there.
So to the right, that dotted line going back to the mechanical storage, that's a limited area with the height.
Correct, you have a lower head height in this area there.
So
And that complies with the half-story limitations, is that correct?
That's correct.
you meet the percentage of the area below as well as less than 500
Correct, less
square
than
feet.
a third of the floor below, and the second floor is 85% of the floor below that, so we meet all the requirements of the setbacks as you go higher.
So if we were to make that dormer in the front comply, what would that do, in your view, to the aesthetics, and what would that do to the functionality of the inside?
We could bring this side over and alter the roof lines there, but we're gonna end up with a head height issue, which means my stair wouldn't work. We could alter this to take that out a little bit over here, which I think it works well on the elevation, and, you know, I'm biased, but I think the elevation and lines of a house are important to make it run all the way up there. I think it's a nice look. We tried to kind of isolate it so it doesn't look like a big bulky piece, also by breaking this piece down, so that when we design it, when you're looking at it from the street, that it doesn't appear bulky. So beside pushing ins and outs, we'd like to kind of break down the scale on the elevation, which I think we were successful in doing here. It did create a little nonconformity up there, but we have made the argument before that the dormer, when you take the length of the front and the back and you add them together, we are within the 33% that's required of the town on that. They don't specifically say it's limited to one side or the other, so when you look at it as an aggregate, it is compliant.
So looking at the picture on the right, that extra area, I'll call it, I mean, that's actually stepped back a little.
This is step back a little right from here, again, just to play with the
You can see
massing.
it more
not make
on
it look overwhelming.
that, right?
Correct.
So in your view, with that type of molding, that the setback following the middle, that all gives it an aesthetic appeal.
Correct.
That's why you put it that way.
That is correct.
All right, so I think those are all the questions I have for the architect. I think we've addressed Mr. Davis's questions.
Yeah, and I'll dive in by apologizing. I'm usually pretty good at reading plans and understanding. Somehow I got confused. I didn't realize you were lifting the structure. I thought we were new construction, so I
Okay,
apologize for
understood.
the misunderstanding.
And I could have, I don't know,
Go ahead, no, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say my next witness, I could ask the
Well, I was
question.
gonna give the
about-
board an opportunity.
Yeah, that's why I
Just
said
ask.
stop.
Any other questions from the board of the architect? Okay.
Mr. Rubarber, can you answer the questions about the garage, or should I have Chris or Christie come up and address that?
Christie would, I think Christie really wants to come up.
Come on up. Want to do that first while you're standing? Yes.
Do swear or affirm the testimony and give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Have a seat, Ms. Bohigian. Mr. Reynolds had a question about the garage. I guess I can go to the overhead of that. So you want to just tell us about the garage? You
with it. Basically where that second skylight, moving inward to the garage is, there.
Here you mean?
Yeah, right there. From that point facing our house, it's sheet rocked. I'll work in there sometimes when the temperatures permit. We don't have running water in the garage. We don't have a split AC or anything like that. And then everything else is completely unfinished garage. So we can fit, I'm sure you guys have the dimensions. It's a pretty big garage. We can fit 2 cars in there. And in the driveway 2, but depending on the size of the cars, we've been able to fit 3 in the driveway that runs alongside the garage.
My concern was living space, slash rental property that we weren't aware of, so.
Yeah.
But you're saying there's no water in there, there's no
No.
plumbing?
No, and our kids have so much stuff. It's,
But that answers my question.
Doesn't get better.
that's what I've been told.
You mean it doesn't get better like it's wonderful, or it doesn't improve?
The stuff doesn't get smaller.
And this might go back to the architect, I'll ask you. In the process of raising this house and adding the second floor, are we gonna lose any of the trees that are in the front yard?
We're not planning to remove those trees. We love those 2 trees.
Perfect. Happy? Are there any other questions of the homeowner? I see none. I'll just, real quick, is there anybody in the audience that wants to ask questions or make comments?
I do. Should I come up?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jay Lieberson. My wife and I own 304, so we're at the
Yeah, let's swear you in.
Oh,
Yep, sorry.
Do you swear affirm the testimony that you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thanks.
My wife and I own 304 Laurel Courts. We're the house directly east of them, closer to Chicago. We've been there for slightly less time than they've been there. I think we probably have, as far as neighbors are concerned, the most interest in all of this. We have no objection to anything they're doing here in terms of the building, the variance is sought. I don't care, I certainly don't care about the 4 inches on my side. I'm just happy to have the best neighbors I've had in 70 years of living. These people are the kind of people you want in this town, and hopefully they have enough space for their family. So we're fully endorsing this, and we hope it goes.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. John, sir,
That's our case.
you want to smile, or you good?
No one else from the public?
No, sir.
All right, yes, with your permission. Well, thank you very much for your time and attention tonight. I would submit that this is a Point Pleasant Beach success story. We have a bunch of people who came to town looking to make an investment, and they fell in love with the place, and they hired a local architect to design a beautiful home. I think they were respectful of the variance process. They kept what they had, they improved impervious, they improved building coverage, and they're making a major aesthetic upgrade. Mr. Rugarber indicated his reasons for the dormer. Hopefully the board finds that satisfactory. And the most important thing here, though, is the Mohegans bought a house that was below the base flood elevation. With this new improvement, if the board gives us allowance, one of the benefits is we all get a better flood rating and we get a FEMA-compliant house. So with all those betterments, we're hopeful that the board sees the merit in improving this application. Thank you.
All right, one more before we close. Just for clarification, the air conditioning units are moving inside the house, so the 1.8 is actually back to 4.7. Perfect. That's all I had. Very good. Board members good? Okay. Can I get a motion to close for deliberation?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
My misunderstanding aside, it's a beautiful design. It's a lot of house, but it's also a lot of property. I think the design and the elevation, the enhancements for a flood zone, which I'll just opine, these last couple of weeks, I've watched, I live on Trenton Avenue on the 600 block, and we refer to it as Lake Trenton Avenue. We're seeing a lot of flooding with these heavy rains, and if the reporting is correct, that's going to be more and more and more common. So seeing these houses becoming flood compliant, we hope your feet aren't always in the water, but the safer they are, the better. Overall, I think it's a nice improvement to the zone. I'm going to specifically comment that I really appreciate all the fenestration. And I'll leave it there.
Okay, obviously, it's a big improvement, what was there. We got a flood compliant home. It's a very large lot, 7,000 square feet compared to most that are only 5. What I like best about everything is that someone's actually going to be living there instead of it being a rental. So I think that's a big plus. We need some families moving into town. This is obviously a decent-sized family. Maybe it'll be even bigger someday, who knows? But it's a beautiful house, nice design. The setbacks, the 4 inches, doesn't make any sense to try to squeeze that in anymore. And I like the fact that it doesn't look like a box. They've got some ins and outs and cuts in there. It makes it look nice. I think we'll fit into the neighborhood good. The neighbor has no problem with it. And I think it'd be a nice improvement to the neighborhood.
Thanks. Yeah, to reiterate what Mr. Dixon said, it's refreshing to have a family buying a house, moving here, staying here, raising their kids here, sending to the schools. It's a nice thing to hear, because we don't hear that too often. And like Mr. Dixon said, it'd be great to have more of that happening. I think we can start to see a trend of that going on. I have no problem with the garage and the skylights. I can empathize with your issues with your kid stuff. I built a house with a nice big 24 by 24 garage where I was going to restore a nice car, and now it's got scooters and e-bikes and bikes and wrestling mats and no car. It's a FEMA compliant house. It's a beautiful home, as is expected from Mr. Ruberger. The pre-existing nonconformities are minimal. They're not getting any worse at any point, and at some spots they're actually improving. I have no issue with this application whatsoever. I'm kind of excited about it, to be honest.
Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, it's big. It's a big house. Big house, but we've all, on this board, we've all begun to realize that there's a lot of big houses in Point Pleasant Beach now. And they're getting bigger and bigger, closer to the border. 5 feet, it used to be 10 feet, now it's 5 feet. Backyards are in the front. Now, fortunately, Liberty Lane provides a nice, quiet area to park your car and to drive at night, so you can get into your garage and you don't use the driveway, so you don't need a driveway in the front off of the other street. And that makes it a little bit different when it comes to the size of the house. Architecturally, with the dormers in the upper roof, I don't care for those, but that's a personal thing, and we've learned to live with some of the houses that are being built in town. We've learned to live with them, I have, because there's someone else's building it, not me. So, consequently, I don't find a problem in it. I think it's going to be very, very high and very noticeably, because everything we're building at the lower levels, below from the ground up, and yet we have a 5-foot leeway there of the big. That's why I questioned the floor line for the first floor. It's about 5 feet into the air. In some cases, it's 6, especially down near the water. It's 2. So it changes again depending on where you're in town. Seems to meet all the requirements that we need to meet. There aren't too many easements that we're not really looking, so I don't see a problem with this. Just a big, massive, compared to the other houses in the area,
before. And I like that you're keeping the trees.
I concur.
All right, I agree with a lot of what was said, but I'd just like to add a little bit. As far as variances go, 2 of them right off the bat are existing. That makes it tough to call a variance, but it is. The air conditioners are going inside, which improves that request for variance. There's a variance for building coverage, but it's actually a reduction. And the point I want to make is, we've all seen the news lately. I think it was mentioned, there's been a lot of flooding. There's flooding here in town, there's flooding everywhere. We don't often get somebody coming in reducing building coverage and reducing impervious coverage. I'm not sure it's ever happened. So kudos to that. FEMA compliant house, fire code. I mean, I think we're getting ourselves a really nice piece of property here, and I'm looking in favor. Go ahead.
What about the
No
trees?
questions. No questions. We're deliberating. We're done. Thank you.
Piece of art for us.
With that being said, close deliberations. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Do we have any conditions?
The air conditioning.
Air conditioning,
Yeah, that's right on the plan.
no relief
No,
there.
it's outside. Yeah, but,
Yeah, but on the plan, it shows,
Okay.
the vents right on.
okay, great.
I mean, we can make it a condition, but it's there.
What about the, submitting a grading and drainage report?
Yeah, that's always required.
Yeah, okay.
All right, that would be a condition.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. With that being said, can we get a motion to approve or deny the application?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Dixon, second by Mr. Neal to approve application 2025-17 of Chris and Christie, what was it? Bogdan, 305 Laurel Court with conditions. Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly. Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Application approved with conditions.
Kids don't have to play football or wrestle, do they?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your
I was
consideration.
still waiting for an answer, Coach.
Good luck, Dad. He's got wrestling mats in his garage.
Wait till after we vote to answer. To be fair. No, you're good. Here, congrats.
All right, Ryan Hamburg. Been talking to you a lot for, Curtis Point. How's everything? Yeah.
Great.
We're still waiting to hear about it. All right, you too.
See you, man.
Good evening.
Dustin Glass on behalf of the applicant, although I'm not going to take much of the board's time. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Bianco and Ms. Smith, 400 Atlantic Avenue. We've had some discussions here tonight amongst our professionals and the client. We are going to be amending the application slightly to better identify a proposal that is not identified on the site plan as we would like. So sorry to take up and have the board wait, but at this time, we're going to amend the application. I believe we're going to renotice out of an abundance of caution, so at this time, I would not ask the board for a new date. I would consent to the board needing additional time, since it was deemed complete. To the extent the board needs additional time to complete render its decision, we consent.
So you're looking to carry?
Yes, but we will renotice.
I just need a motion, right?
So moved.
Caught me off guard.
Yeah, make a motion
We
to
didn't know
carry
until we came here.
with
So I apologize.
So moved.
I don't have a date, I have to look at this point back.
Okay, so
It's
we're
gonna be
making
late,
a
it's
motion to
gonna be
carry.
like November.
So talk to Karen and
Yeah.
she'll get you a date.
We know how to email. Okay, so,
Have a motion to carry with
but he's gonna renotice, so we don't have to make a motion.
Yeah, you don't really need a motion.
We'll just talk about a date,
Yeah.
he'll notice, we're done.
Great.
Can I get a motion to close?
Yeah, you could do that.